Going camping as a kid was always a fun time, but going to an ice camp was a completely different experience. Welcome back to the Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. I am your host, Jason. I hope you are doing well and having a great week and that you're able to get outside a little bit. It's been a little bit of a colder week again, but hopefully it looks like things are starting to shape up and the weather's starting to warm up here a little bit, starting to get some normal temperatures, which means it's going to be a little bit easier to get outside. Now we're just kind of hoping we don't get that fast meltdown of this snow. We've got so much snow that we kind of are hoping for a little bit of a gradual melt so that, we're not dealing with any of the flooding and issues that happens with that. But you know what? We're going to take some warmer weather and we're going to try to make the most out of it. And that's what we've been trying to do all winter so far, is trying to make the most out of it. And that's kind of what being an outdoor person, in my opinion, is. It's like you got to get them windows of opportunity and you just got to get out there and make the most out of those windows. And a few weeks ago, I did an interview with Jack Baker from the North American Ice Fishing Circuit. I will post a link to that interview in the show notes. And we talked about a lot of different topics when I talked to him. We talked about their high school tournament that they do. We talked about their main tournaments that they do and all the things that they do to promote ice fishing and how they, try to encourage more people to get out there. But one of the things that stood out to me was the kids ice camp that they do with each tournament. Now, these are pretty neat because they take the time to teach the basics of ice fishing, and then they get them on the lake so that they can experience the thrill of sitting out there and doing some jigging and just finding out what ice fishing is all about. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I have never been ice fishing. I've been fishing various other times, on lakes and on boats and things like that, but never ice fishing. And again, honestly, fishing has never really been a thing for me. I did it as a kid a little bit and did it a little bit as an adult here and there, but it just never was a thing for me. I enjoy being out there. I enjoy being on the water. I enjoy being around others who are fishing, but most of the time I'd rather have a camera in my hand and take pictures or videos of people fishing instead of, sitting with a fishing pole. I don't know what it is. It's just something that it doesn't really do anything for me. And I know it probably sounds odd. Yeah, a guy here who likes being outdoors doesn't like fishing. But like I said, I like being around people who are fishing and love just being in the atmosphere, being on the lake or wherever. And I'd rather just document a fishing trip rather than fish. And I'm guessing I'm not the only one like that. I mean, I've known people who'd rather drive the boat than fish. So fishing just hasn't been one of my things. Now, the few times that we've taken my kids fishing, they've enjoyed it. They like going out. They ask to go out. So we try to get them out a few times a year. And usually when we go, we like to go with people who like to fish so that they can teach them things. Because like I said, I haven't done it that much enough to know good or bad habits of fishing. So it's important when we do go with them that we do get them out with people who have fished. And actually my kids have never experienced ice fishing either. So I thought the kids camp that the NAIFC offers would be a great opportunity to teach them a little bit about ice fishing, teach me a little bit about ice fishing, and then let them get out on the lake and try ice fishing with some professionals that guide them. That's one of the things that the North American Ice Fishing Circuit does really, really well, in my opinion. They give kids an opportunity who have never ice fished or have only ice fished a few times an opportunity to really learn about ice fishing and how to do it properly. We attended a camp that took place on a Saturday afternoon in Menominee, Wisconsin on Lake Menominee. Before the camp, the NAIFC held the tournament for high schoolers, and the tournament headquarters was basically the Dunn County Fish and Game Club. So if you've been there, very nice place, great place to hold this kind of event. And we got there early enough that we were actually able to see the weigh-in of the high school team that came in. they were pretty proud of their fish. I mean, they weren't big fish, but it was fun to see them, and they were really nice to my kids, and they let my kids hold some of the winning fish. So it was kind of neat to see how they did that and see how they weighed the fish in. My kids got to see that. Then when they were done, people started coming in with their kids, and the class was pretty good. It started right at 1 o'clock, and I think once the class started, there was probably about 30 kids ranging from the age of 13 to 5. Jack Baker led the class, and the way he teaches, really, it didn't make it feel like you were in a classroom. He's a very good teacher. He's very good with kids, and you can tell he's comfortable teaching around kids, and has just a way about him that he did very well teaching the kids and keeping them entertained. He started with some safety lessons, and he showed some images of some of the mishaps that took place on some of his not so fortunate fishing adventures. For instance, he showed the kids one picture of a truck that was underwater, and to his credit, he told the kids that it was a truck that he was in, and how he had to get out of it before it sank. And he told us all, how much it cost to get the truck out, and why it happened. He told us that there was thin ice that they didn't realize was there, and I thought it was a great way to humble himself in front of all these kids, because he let them know that even with all of his experience of ice fishing and being on the ice, he still made mistakes, and that we can learn from those mistakes. And his biggest thing that he kept stressing to the kids was just be safe. Just be safe, be smart, don't be in a rush, don't hurry to get on the ice. Make sure it's good, make sure it's solid ice before you move out. And I think the way he presented that, the kids all pretty much picked up on that. He would ask questions, he would hand out little prizes for correct answers, and he just had a really good way of keeping the kids interacted. And I think that's important when kids are learning about new things, especially outdoor things, especially about things that they might not understand or they're just getting into. And he was very good. And again, he started his presentation with safety and emphasized how important that was. And then he finally got into talking about getting on the ice and fishing. And again, he went step by step. He talked about augers and how to care for your augers. And, he brought up volunteers. At one point, he brought my daughter up front and had her demonstrate some jigging techniques, which was kind of fun because she's never done it. So, he had a good way to teach them how to do it correctly. And then, of course, the fun thing he did was he passed around some little bait, some live bait that the kids could all pass around and hold in their hands. And of course, my daughters didn't want anything to do with that, but they all got to see it and got to experience what it's like to have it in your hands. And I gotta say, I think the brilliance of the whole class portion of it was it's done inside, and you're not worrying about kids getting cold or getting antsy. He was able to answer questions that they had, and he was able to speak so that everybody could hear. And I think that was a very smart way to start this class. And my kids got a lot out of it. They were excited to get out. All in all, the class lasted about an hour. You could tell once the class was over with that the kids were super excited to get outside and start fishing and try out all this new stuff that they just learned. So now it's time for us to get on the ice and see if we can catch some fish. But like a lot of you fishermen know, it's been difficult to get on the ice the last few weeks. With all the snow we've gotten, it's created a layer of slush underneath, and it makes it hard to get out there and clear that off so that you can fish. It's made it really difficult for people to get their ice shacks off. I mean, I've seen videos on social media where, people are using horses to pull off ice shacks because they just can't get their vehicles out there to even do it. So it made it really tough to find a spot for these kids to fish. They wanted to do it next to the clubhouse, but they couldn't find anybody to plow out a spot big enough to accommodate the kids so that we could all fish. So they made a few phone calls, and the organizers were able to find a spot on the opposite end of Lake Menemen of where we were. So, You had to pack up all the kids and drive through the city of Menominee. We went to a place called the Point Comfort Park. Once we got there, it was just a short walk on the ice, which my kids thought was pretty cool. Here they were walking on ice. They did have some lanes plowed basically where we were going, but even the plowed lanes were still, they were rutted up with about a foot of snow. So it wasn't an easy walk for the kids, but it was at least better than trying to trudge through fresh snow or not being able to get out there at all. So we walked a short distance, and when we got there, they had a group of professional fishers sitting there waiting for us. So they had already drilled a bunch of holes. So as soon as we got there, they were able to start fishing. And I should mention that one of the nice things about this ice camp as well is the fact that they give each kid a rod and reel so that they can fish. So when we came, we didn't come with any ice fishing equipment because we don't have any. And we knew that they provided this for us, but it's still a really nice thing that they did by giving each kid a little pole so that everybody can fish if they want. It was nice. Like I said, we got out in the lake, and all the pros, they were really friendly towards the kids, and you could tell that they were excited to teach these kids a little fishing. And there was enough pros for everybody too. So it wasn't like one guy was doing a lot, but in my kids, they had one pro kind of all to themselves, and he was a great guy. My kids fished in 3 separate holes, but they were all close enough together that he was able to kind of bounce between each one. And he was generous enough that he let my oldest daughter use one of his rods and reels, which was really a nice setup, and she was so excited that she was able to use that. And then he took his flasher from hole to hole so that the kids could see how that worked and see that there was fish down there waiting for him, but they weren't biting. But he was really good, and he was a lot of fun to hang around, and the kids enjoyed being around him, and he taught him a lot. He taught him a little bit about jigging and taught him a little bit about how to keep the holes clean with the ice, and he taught him stuff that you weren't going to get in the classroom, that you had to be out on the lake experiencing. And that's what is really neat about this ice camp. You get a little bit of education inside, then you come out and you really get the whole experience of how it all works. So my kids really, really enjoyed the whole process. They didn't catch anything, but they liked it a lot. They had a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun taking a lot of pictures and just hanging out with them and helping them where they needed it. But again, we just had a great time on the lake, and it was just such a beautiful day. It was like in the 20s, and it was just a lot of fun. And that's what it's all about. The ice camp, again, it was just a great way for my kids to learn about ice fishing from people who are experts in the field. And you don't get that everywhere you go. They learned in a setting that was fun and educational. Then they were able to take that information that they learned and go and do it on the ice. And I think we need to look for more classes like this. Or if you are an expert in a field of something, think about setting up a class like this for kids, because they get so much more out of it than just watching a YouTube video or hearing about somebody's experience. We hear so much lately about being a mentor to people, for hunting, but be more than just a hunting mentor. Be a ice fishing mentor. Be a snowshoe or a skiing mentor to somebody who might be interested in it. And the more ways we teach our kids about the outdoors, the more they're going to appreciate it. And I understand as parents that yeah, we are their teachers, and when it comes to the outdoors, we teach them what we know. But like I said in the beginning of this podcast, I've been fishing. I've never been ice fishing, but fishing is just not my thing. So I don't want my kids to not experience something because it's just not something that I like to do. I want them to experience new things so that they can start determining what they like to do. And this camp was a great way for them to experience it, and a great way for all of us to learn about it. And that's one thing about this camp, was we were all able to learn something from it. And like I said, be a mentor to somebody. And it doesn't have to be just kids either. If you ever hear anybody interested about ice fishing or hunting or anything, and you've got experience, take them out, teach them about it. We need more opportunities like this to teach our children. These kind of camps, they allowed my kids to try something new without me having to invest a lot on my part. I mean, basically we had some meals and some gas. We didn't need any of the equipment because they had it. Now granted, it's not top of the line equipment that they're using, but it's good enough equipment that they get a taste for it. And if they do it a few more times, then we can start investing in it and expanding our equipment to the point where it's good equipment and equipment that will last them a long time. But for just trying out, it was so perfect that we were able to do it with very little cost to us. So, especially with kids, we've all been there. Our kids want to do something, whether it's play an instrument or be in this sport, only to find out that they really don't like doing it at all. And here you've got all this money invested. So that's what I really appreciated too about this camp, was the fact that it gave my kids an opportunity to try something new without having to have a big investment in it. So don't be afraid to do a little digging and search for some of these educational camps, or you know what? Go out and start your own. Even if it's with your nieces, nephews, or kids or grandkids, get them together one day and just have your own ice camp or your own skiing clinic that you can teach them and show them how to do it. Because these are just great learning experiences for kids, and they're great learning experiences for you if you're not well informed in these areas. These are great opportunities that we all need to take advantage of, and I was so happy to see that they had a good group of kids at this ice camp, and I hope they keep promoting it and keep getting the word out there that they're doing these, because it was a great opportunity and my kids ended up just loving it. And I think now the biggest thing that we actually learned from this camp is that I've got 3 girls who like ice fishing and are already bothering me to go out again and do some more. So well done, NAIFC. Well done. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. I am your host, Jason. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll talk to you again next week. Thanks for listening to the Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. For more great information about being an outdoor explorer, visit our website at wisconsinsoutdoorexplorer.com. Be sure to check out the blog page and follow us on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.